A very good evening, sir. Uh,
Okay.
it is my privilege to introduce today's resource person, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor K.C. Sunny. Sir is a graduate of Physics and Law. He did his master's in Administrative Law. He was awarded gold medal for securing first rank in LLM. Sir was also UGC Fellowship awardee. After completing his LLM, he started his career as a teacher in 1986 from the college where he studied. In 1990, he joined Kerala University Department of Law and at a Kariyavatam campus. Sir has 30 years of rich experience as a teacher from Kerala University and Central University of Kerala, out of which 11 years as a professor and 8 years as a dean. He published a number of books. One of the noted one is Corrupt Practices in Election Laws. Sir published more than 45 research papers in reputed journals. As a research supervisor, he supervised and produced more than 17 PhDs, which includes 2 foreign students. As an academician, he served as head Department of Law and Dean Faculty of Law of School of Legal Studies of Central University of Kerala. As far as international exposure is concerned, he was the international observer to Nepal Constituent Assembly elections conducted in 2006 and Bangladesh parliamentary elections 2007. He delivered lectures in 16 foreign universities and had interactive sessions in 6 foreign universities, including Harvard Law School. He served as the program chair of the International Conference on Law and Public Policy held at Singapore for 7 years. At present, he is the Vice Chancellor of National University of Advanced Legal Studies, Kochi. Uh, Today's topic of the hour is interdisciplinary research in law. Sir, I once again welcome you for the 10-day national program on legal research methodology, and I thank you for accepting our invitation and you are present here as a resource person uh, for the session, sir. And now I hand over the uh, session to you, sir.
I am extremely happy to be the part of this 10-day refresher course in research methodology organized by the Usmania University, which is one of the oldest university in India. To my topic for presentation, the topic is interdisciplinary legal research. Actually, law is a subject having interdisciplinary nature. When we are discussing role of the law in the society, actually society is the superstructure, polity is the substructure, and legal system is the infrastructure. As in the case of any other infrastructure, whether electricity, water supply, ports, airports, shopping complexes, law is also the part of any social development. As also all of us are well aware, what may be the social development, whether establishing an atomic station, whether establishing a hospital, whether starting a new residential area, there should be the infrastructure support. That is true in relation to law and legal system. What may be the social development, whether the invention of electricity, whether the invention of atomic energy, whether the invention of computer, whether the invention of airport, that should be supported by sufficient infrastructure in the form of legal regulations. For the use of atomic energy, legal regulations are essential. For the proper utilization of air traffic, support of legal regulations support of the legal regulation is essential. So, society is the superstructure, polity is the substructure, and legal system is the infrastructure. So, when we are conducting research in law, its social impact should be taken into account. Its impact on various aspects of human life should be taken into account. Naturally, its effect on other academic disciplines should also be taken into account. There comes the significance of interdisciplinary research in law. Coming to the definition of law, as all of us are well aware, the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the actions of its members and which it may enforce by imposition of penalties, that is the peculiar features of law. So basically it is the regulation. It is regulation. Coming to regulation of human activities, actually before any regulations, there may be the support of a value system. If one asks the difference between, what is the difference between the life of an animal and life of a human being, we can say that the life of human beings is structured by certain values, and this value system is the basis for our civilized society. Or values may be treated as the core of the culture, core of the civilization. So, as far as the regulations of human activities are concerned, it should have the support of the value system, or value system forms the foundation of regulations. And through this value system, a social system will be emerged, and the social system will determine the style of life, pattern of behavior, and appearance and appearance of human beings. When we are taking into account of the history of civilization, we can see that there were so many social systems. There was primitive social system where bare fruits constituted the major resource. Then we have a social system based on agriculture. Their land was the major resource. Then there was a social system emerged as a result of industrialization, the industrial world, where minerals and metals were the important resources. Now this is the modern age of modern age of science and technology. We have our own social system, and in all social system, there may be a particular style of life, particular pattern of behavior, and particular appearance and appearance. So the point is that there is a social system, and that social system is founded on certain values, and each social system has style of life, pattern of behavior, and appearance and appearance. It is through law and legal regulations this style of life, pattern of behavior, and appearance and appearance of human beings will be structured or regulated. Then, coming to social functions of law, As all of us are well aware, law is considered as one of the several means of social control and an instrument of social change. There also, the significance of social functions of law has great importance, and when we are doing research on any aspect of law, the social functions, so due regard should be given to the social functions of law, namely social control and social change. Then, when we are discussing the issue of, or discussing the aspect of law as an academic discipline, we may remember that there is basically only one thing, that is knowledge. For our convenience, we are broadly dividing knowledge as humanities and science. Then humanities further divided as arts and social science. Then social science may further divided as law, economics, politics, management, etc., etc. So basically there is only one thing, that is knowledge, and law is a particular branch of knowledge broadly coming under humanities, and it is a part of social science. This aspect should also be in our mind when we are doing research in law. When we are discussing the issue of research, most important thing is, what is the purpose of legal research? Basically, research is a search for truth, search for knowledge, and that ultimately result in search for truth. That is why in any academic discipline, the nomenclature of the degree awarded at doctoral level is Doctor of Philosophy. We are going to the root of the issue. We are going to the fundamentals of the academic discipline. And we are going to the fundamentals of knowledge. That is why the nomenclature Doctor of Philosophy is given to the degree awarded as a result of conducting research. Then coming to the purpose of legal research, firstly, through legal research, we are examining the internal effectiveness of legal system, especially in the context of consistency and coherence of legal norms. So, in any legal system, there are certain basic norms, and there shall be consistency and coherency as far as the legal norms followed in a society. So that aspect may be examined, whether the norms are adequate, whether the norms are consistently followed, whether coherence is maintained. All these things can be examined with a critical mind. That is one aspect of legal research. Secondly, we can examine in the external effectiveness measures whether the legal norm is effective in real life, or we will address the law in action. Law in action. Suppose a new law has been enacted. For example, we recently enacted law for the purpose of prevention of one social evil, that is this domestic violence. Whether this the law enacted for the purpose of eradication of the social evil of domestic violence is effective. If not effective, what are the measures to be adopted to making the law effective? Whether any amendment to the provision is necessary, whether making of new rules is essential, whether some new strategy may be followed for the purpose of implementation of this legislation. All these things can be examined by way of conducting the legal research. That is regarding the purpose of legal research. Then coming to legal research, we may consider one more aspect, that is the difference between external and internal understanding of law. As far as lawyers, law teachers, researchers in law, law officers of the companies, they have a particular line or particular kind of understanding about the law. Although we have used the term legal question, when we are addressing any legal issue, we will pose certain question. That question may be identified as legal question. In both of these formulations, what counts as legal question from an external perspective may be quite different from what qualifies as a legal question from external perspective. So in relation to legal questions, the perspective of a person or perspective of an internal person may be fundamentally different from the perception of an external person. I will elaborate these things. This difference between the understanding about this issue related to the different understanding of an external person and internal person regarding the fundamental issue, the legal question, the important thing is that there is a conflict between legal standards and moral standards. The standard of or the foundation of the perception of the external is moral standard. The foundation of the perception of the internal is legal standard. And coming to this legal standard and moral standard, the basic issue is difference between law and ethics. As all of us are well aware, ethics is the supreme good, or the concern of ethics is what is supreme good, or the foundation of moral standards is what is supreme good. But the concern and the foundation of legal standards is what is convenient at a particular time and place. What is convenient at a particular time and place. Or legal standards may vary from time to time. I will cite an example. Suppose, for the purpose of marriage, one man for one woman. Now that is accepted standard, because bigamy is an offense in India. Suppose one man for one woman, that is a basic standard, or that is the supreme good. That may be the moral standard. For the purpose of marriage, one man for one woman. That is the moral standard. That moral standard will always be there. Coming to the legal standard, suppose a big war occurred, or as a result of a pandemic, so many persons died. At the end, in this world, there are 150 crores of people. Out of the 150 crores of people, 100 crores are male and 50 crores female. The demography is 2 women for 1 man. In such a situation, the legal standard may be let 2 women for 1 man. That may be the standard. So, legal standards may vary in accordance with the place and time. What moral standards are supreme good, that will remain constant. But now I am not ignoring the fact that this moral standards may also vary in accordance with the time. I am not ignoring that factor. But there are certain fundamental moral standards founded on eternal values. That is all. Otherwise, these moral standards may also vary. I am not ignoring that fact. That fact. Then, coming to this, now we are discussing the issue of limitation of internalist approach to the law. An internalist approach to disciplinary canon has 2 claims. First, there is a set of arguments, approaches, and skills and forms of knowledge distinct to law that one must master. So, in relation to law, there are certain sets of arguments, approaches, skills, etc. And mastery in this specific skills is essential for deciding legal questions. So, there are specific skills distinct for the purpose of law. That skills must be mastered for the purpose of deciding legal question. That is the internalist approach to law. Coming to externalist approach of law, the externalists think that, or an externalist approach to disciplinary canon, that is the canon of discipline of law, by contrast, argues that discussion of law are incomplete without knowledge of skills from other disciplines, including most prominently natural science, social science, etc. So, knowledge and approaches from other disciplines should also be taken into account for addressing a legal question. And in this regard, there is moderate view and a radical view. The moderate view of externalist position is that all of these are necessary supplements to a serious study of law, or the role of other disciplinary is supplementary to the legal knowledge or legal skills. But the radical extremists think that legal decision making is the part of or a special form of ordinary political or moral decision making. There is only one thing, that is ordinary political decision making or moral decision making, legal decision making. The legal decision making is only part of it or a particular form of it. Coming to legal decision making, normally at the adjudicatory level, there is a process. The process in the adversary system existing in Anglo-Saxon world is that one side may present their argument, other side also present their argument. On the basis of argument, we will arrive at a particular decision. The arguments are founded on certain doctrines. certain concepts, and there are procedural limitations also. Suppose the adjudication is in relation to a family issue. There may be so many concepts attached to family law that may be relevant. There are so many doctrines that may also relevant. There may be certain particular procedure also. For example, certain evidence may not be acceptable because that is a privileged communication. Privileged communication. Communication between husband and wife is not acceptable. What is the logic? A legal person can understand, but a political scientist cannot understand. Confession before a police officer is not admissible. What is the logic? A scientist cannot understand. A psychologist cannot understand. But a legal person can understand. So the point is whether decision making is or decision making in relation to a legal question is the part of ordinary political decision making or moral decision making, or it is different from, or it is a particular, it is entirely different from ordinary decision making or political decision making. That contradiction is there. In interdisciplinary research, that aspect should also be come into the picture. Then I am coming to the specific aspects of legal research. Normally, in legal research, there is a classification that is doctoral research and non-doctoral research, or doctoral research and empirical research. And in doctoral research, we will take into account of statutory provisions and case laws. And when we are analyzing a statutory provision, we may understand that in every statutory provision, a legal principle is embodied. And that legal principle, a policy is included. So, statutory provision contains a legal principle. A policy is embodied in that legal principle. That policy is related to an ideology, and that ideology is related to a philosophy. As a part of analyzing a statutory provision, we should understand the principle behind the statutory provision. Then, what is the policy behind that legal principle? Whether that policy is related to an ideology, and in what way that ideology is related to a philosophy. So we have to come to the level of philosophy. That is the logic behind the nomenclature Doctor of Philosophy, or Doctor of Philosophy shall be awarded to a work which is the result of original research. We have to go to the philosophical level. For example, if we take the example mentioned earlier, that is the law relating to domestic violence. In that law, there is a provision that if there is a dispute between husband and wife in relation to the house property or residential house, wife can ask the husband to vacate the house. So that is a provision. If there is a dispute as a part of domestic issues, Between husband and wife, the wife can ask the husband to vacate the house. That is a provision. So, right of the wife to ask the husband to vacate the house. That is the provision. That is the provision. A legal principle is embodied in it. The legal principle is that in the case of dispute between husband and wife in relation to the residential house, preference should be given to the claims of the wife. Preference should be given to the claims of the wife. That is the legal principle. That legal principle is founded on a policy that in the case of issues involving domestic violence or domestic dispute, preference should be given to the wife. Preference should be given to the wife, or preference should be given to the female member. The broad sense, that is the policy. Preference should be given to the female member. And that policy is founded on the ideology of gender justice, and that ideology is founded on the philosophy of human rights. So, statutory provision is there, a legal principle is there. That legal principle is founded on a policy. That policy is related to an ideology, and that ideology is related to a philosophy. So the philosophical foundation of a statutory provision, that is very, very important in legal research. And in the process of finding out philosophical foundation of a statutory provision, interdisciplinary approach is essential. Interdisciplinary approach is essential. Then, coming to empirical research, we may understand that if we trace the foundation of knowledge, earlier the foundation of knowledge was theology. Even in provisions coming under family law, we can see the theological foundation of knowledge. In the later stage, the foundation of knowledge was metaphysics, metaphysical foundation of knowledge, because doctrines and concepts that constituted the core of knowledge. Now, the foundation of knowledge is empirical or experimental. Empirical. We should conduct empirical study. We should conduct experiments. As a result of experiments, we should draw the conclusion. That conclusions will form the foundation of knowledge. Not certain doctrines, not certain concepts. So this empirical foundation of knowledge, that aspect is also relevant in legal research, because for conducting empirical study, firstly we have to conduct research in society, and for the purpose of conducting research in society, we have to use the tools of social science research. And these tools of social science research has the interdisciplinary nature, because sociologists using same tool, then economists using same tool, psychologists may also use the same tool, political science may also use the same tool. There also, the interdisciplinary nature of legal research has a great significance. Then, coming to interdisciplinary research, there is micro level interdisciplinary research. The micro level interdisciplinary research is related to a legal concept. For example, now we have one legal concept, restitution of conjugal right. Restitution of conjugal right. Whether this restitution of conjugal right is relevant in the present day context, because this concept was emerged in a different social context. In the social context, the role of the female members in the society is only a limited one. So many people, or vast majority, believe that role of the female members shall be confined to kitchen. Then there is the concept of joint family. Then there was the concept of nuclear family also. There was the concept of joint family, both nuclear family. In both these systems, the role of the female members was confined to kitchen, generally speaking. There was the female employment that was not at all accepted by the society. That was the position. Then the concept like restitution of conjugal rights may have some social significance. Now, husband may be a IT professional at Bangalore, wife may be a doctor at Dubai. In such a situation, what is the relevance of this concept of restitution of conjugal right? I have serious doubt. We can conduct research on it. That is, significance of or relevance of restitution of conjugal right in this modern age. So that is a micro level research. You can take samples. You can take this case. You can analyze the cases also. You can conduct empirical research. That study may be confined to certain areas, or you can take samples. In such a way, you can conduct interdisciplinary legal research at micro level. Then you can conduct research at macro level also. On the other hand, we can explore macro legal questions. That is the general concepts, problem, and principles of law. Now, entire scientific world is in the process of invention of a medicine or invention of a vaccine for this pandemic COVID-19. Suppose a country or some scientist invented the vaccine. To what extent compulsory licensing is possible? That topic may be a topic for macro level legal research. Macro level legal research. For the purpose of this research, we can adopt the method of interdisciplinary research also. So only thing is that research may be micro level research or macro level research. Then we can conduct advanced interdisciplinary research. First type of advanced interdisciplinary research refers to research question that is not about law as such. For example, whether living together relationship is a contributory factor for the smooth functioning of society. So the question itself is interdisciplinary. Question itself is interdisciplinary. Such advanced research can be conducted. Then research may be on legal theme like questions which are measures to be adopted to tackle climate change. Measures to be adopted to tackle climate change. Or in the present day context, measures to be adopted to combat with this pandemic, COVID-19. There may be legal measures. There may be social measures. There may be some measures adopted by law enforcing agencies. So the question is interdisciplinary. But while conducting the research, law may also come into the picture. For example, regulation of some of the rights or curtailment of some of the rights are essential. Then emergency power may be conferred because all these COVID activities are carried on by the government because of, with the support of emergency legislation. So advanced research may be purely on a non-legal thing. Now I am going to next part of my presentation, that is certain problems in interdisciplinary research. In the issue of how to find your way in and understanding other discipline. As I mentioned earlier, we have our own method to understand things. That method may not be suitable for other disciplines because we have our own concept like exceptions and explanations, notwithstanding clause, proviso, privileged communication, admissibility of confession, confession and admission, all these things. These things may not be fit to understand economics. That may not be fit to understand psychology. That may not be fit even to understand criminology. That problem is the first problem in interdisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary research. Second thing is risk of picking and choosing and of an incorrect understanding of other disciplines. Our understanding about the discipline of economics may not be correct. That is true in relation to the understanding of others about law also. When I decided to join for LLB, some of my relatives asked the question, why are you selecting a profession where telling a lie is essential? So lawyers are persons who are telling lie. That is the understanding of law about some sections of the society. That is true in relation to our understanding about law also. Regarding psychology, our understanding may be a psychologist, ordinary clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologist is not the sole element of psychology. So the point is risk of picking and choosing and of an incorrect understanding of other disciplines. Thirdly, dependency on availability of data from sociological disciplines. So when we are conducting interdisciplinary research, we may solely depend on available data. That data may be outdated. That data did not project the correct position. That problem will be there. Then difficulties in translating legal concept into socio-empirical equivalence. For example, justice is a legal concept. How we can translate justice into socio-empirical equivalent? What are the strategies to be followed in translating justice to corresponding socio-empirical equivalent. Maybe the issue is gender justice. To what extent this concept of gender justice can be translated to socio-empirical equivalence. That is a major task in interdisciplinary research. Then, question how to integrate empirical research within legal discipline. So, for example, suppose the research is regarding the women empowerment through reservation of seats in local bodies to women. We may conduct some empirical research. How we can integrate the result of this research to the legal aspects? Actually, that is a Herculean task. Here we may remember that the adoption of correct methodology and using a correct tools, that is very essential in interdisciplinary research in law. If methodology is wrong, we cannot arrive at proper conclusion. If the tools are not correct, then also we cannot arrive at a proper conclusion. Then, I am coming to the last portion of my presentation. That is regarding certain academic disciplines having interdisciplinary nature. I am mentioning about human rights, environmental studies, women's studies, intellectual property, consumer protection, local governance, area studies. All these academic disciplines are basically interdisciplinary. But in most of these academic disciplines, a dominant position is occupied by law. Coming to human rights. Human rights is a discipline having interdisciplinary nature, academic discipline having interdisciplinary nature. If human rights are treated as a tree, it has its roots in history, theology, political science, and philosophy. History, theology, political science, history, philosophy, theology, and political science constitute the roots of human rights. Law and legal system constitutes the stem of the tree. The stem is law and legal system. Every academic disciplines may be treated as the branches of this discipline. Medical science is a branch in human right, the tree of human rights. For the purpose of realization of right to health, we have to seek the assistance of doctors, paramedical persons, health workers, etc., etc. Engineering may be treated as a branch of this academic discipline. For the purpose of realization of right to water, dams should be constructed. Dams should be constructed. For that purpose, we have to seek the assistance of engineers. For the purpose of retaining water in dams, we have to seek the assistance of hydrologists. For the purpose of management, we have to seek the assistance of this management experts. So the point is that every academic discipline may be treated as a branch of human rights. Same is true in relation to environmental studies. Same is true in relation to women's studies. Same is true in relation to intellectual property rights. Same is true in relation to consumer protection. Same is true in relation to governance. Same is true in relation to area studies, also Australia studies, American studies, Canadian studies, etc., etc. Usually in these areas, English literature paper are dominating in most of the universities. But law also has a role because in all countries there will be legal system. Peculiar features of that legal system, that is also very important in area studies. Then sometimes this interdisciplinary research may be confined to multidisciplinary research. In interdisciplinary research, we are cutting across disciplines. Our aim is to go to the philosophical level. For going to the philosophical level, we should conduct our research. We should proceed with our search for knowledge, cutting across discipline. But in certain research, only multidisciplinary approach is sufficient. For example, in certain research like research related to international trade or international trade law, law and economics may only come into the picture. In certain areas like realization of right to health, only medical science and law will come into the picture. In certain areas like political empowerment of women, disciplines like law and political science alone will come into picture. There we can conduct multidisciplinary research. I am stopping here.
So, question from one Mr. Khosla. In law schools, what do you suggest to ensure the belief in interdisciplinary and confidence and its execution, and what is its effectiveness?
Because basically we must promote interdisciplinary research in the context of empirical research. As I mentioned earlier, the present day foundation of knowledge is empirical. So we have to go to the society and try to find out what is the response of society to a particular legal provision. I think at the level of LLB itself, we have to encourage the students to conduct some empirical study. And to conduct or to address the issue of law in action. One method is to conduct a research project, minor research projects. Other maybe is to strengthen the activities like legal aid clinic, then ADR center, etc., etc. Through this process, we have to develop a new culture in our law schools. Then all these issues or all the hurdles in the process of conducting interdisciplinary study in law will be removed.
Mr. J.N. Rao, the question is, in the context of legal standard and moral standard, the concept of marriage, where men are 1,000 and women are 700. There are 300 surplus men. How legal standard and moral standard will function in society and its impact in society in this context?
Because the society may evolve its own standard, and its own system. The point is that the concept one man, one woman may not work in a particular context. I have heard about a style of life in some Arctic region, because Arctic region is covered by snow almost all the 365 days. There, the strategy for reproduction is that any man can catch any female and can have sexual intercourse, because there only in their rare occasions the sexual relationship is possible. So that norm is followed there. So we cannot prescribe a hard and fast rule in relation to what is supreme good as far as human relationship and human behavior is concerned.
Mr. Kameshwar Rao Karra, the question is, sir, since living relationship is legalized, does it not lead to a socio-legal issue?
Basically, that is a socio-legal issue. Whether what is the response of the society to such relationship may be okay in big cities. What is the position in local? What is the position in local level? Issue number one. Issue number two. Suppose a child is born. What is the legal status? What is the legal status? Whether child may be treated as a legitimate child. What is his right in relation, his or her right in relation to inheritance, especially the family property? There may be so many legal issues. So that itself may generate so many social as well as legal issues.
One, Mr. Ravichandra Yadav. Sir, please throw some light on business, law and economics interdisciplinary research. What are the major areas to be taken into consideration?
I am not an expert in business law, but law, business and economics. Okay, law, business and economics. Some aspects related to trade may be taken. Some aspects related to this competition may be taken. Then so many areas in the corporate world, especially in relation to companies, different aspects of merger and acquisition, different aspects of winding up, different aspects of amalgamation. There is ample scope for doing research.
Someone, Miss Kusma, sir, society is very dynamic, especially in the recent past, but law is not so. How to proceed with research?
Society is always dynamic. When we are formulating the research problem itself, this aspect should be in our mind. While preparation of tool also, this aspect should be in our mind. So while selecting the topic, we should have the notion that law is a dynamic subject. In the matter of posing research question, this aspect should be in our mind, that is law is a dynamic subject. Then, in the matter of preparation of tools for research, there also this aspect should also be in our mind. Then we can effectively conduct the research.
From Dr. Surapalli Prashant. Sir, the question is, sir, is it not correct to say moral standards should be the basis or cornerstone for the development of any legal system in any country, so as to ensure wide-ranging social impact with resultant transformative changes with positive effects in the lives of rich or poor in any society or in any country.
Okay, that is a basic issue. When we are discussing this moral standards, earlier the moral standards have its root in religion, or it has the foundation of it has a theological foundation. In a later stage, the evolution of various cultures constituted a significant role in developing moral standards. Now we have well-defined moral standard in the form of Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other international instruments related to human rights. For example, now there are so many moral issues in relation to medical experiment, medical research, etc., etc. Now we have a vaccine for COVID is already invented, but trial is going on. In relation to this medical invention and medical experiments, there are certain standards in the form of Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Bioethics, Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Human Genome. All these things are UNESCO guidelines. At national level, we have the standards formulated by Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR based guidelines, having the force of law. Now, we have these standards of morality founded on human rights. Now, we can depend on human rights declarations, human rights standards, human rights convention, for the purpose of developing moral standards.
Sir, from one Miss D. Srivani, sir, can you please throw light on criminal law and sociology related interdisciplinary research? Yes, sir.
Actually, this foundation of criminology or criminal law is that there are certain standards for human behavior. And there may be some deviation from accepted standards. If the deviation is very substantial, that may become wrong against the state. And this wrong against the state may be clearly defined by a provision of law. In India, this Indian Penal Code. There are other codes also which constituted certain offenses. So the concept of offense, coming to the level of sociology, whether this concept itself is right or wrong, in the present day context, that is a very serious issue. For example, recently Supreme Court invalidated Article 377 of the Constitution, whether the consented sexual relationship with two adult members may be treated as a criminal offense. That question has very great social significance. If the answer is yes, then next question may arise. Should same-sex marriage may be permitted? If same-sex marriage is permitted, there may be so many social issues. How we can tackle these issues? So, though basically the issue is related to the declaration that a particular provision in the Indian Penal Code is invalid, as a result of it, so many social problems may arise. We have to find out some strategy for tackling these social problems. I think answer is satisfactory.
Question is, which is better, interdisciplinary research or core discipline research?
I think interdisciplinary research is better.
Request Dr. Radhika Yadav Madam to propose vote of thanks to the speaker.
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Thank you for giving the consent and delivering the lecture, sir. Sir, you were trying to highlight how law is not independent. It is interdependent with other social sciences. And to get a best utility of law research, it should be interdisciplinary in character. I'm sure all the participants have, have got an idea of how to, in case even if they are already PhDs, but in the future endeavors, of course, they'll try to implement and they'll try to take this particular factor into consideration, and they'll try to see to it that they are following the interdisciplinary character of research. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for accepting the invitation and delivering the lecture in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.